In periods of high uncertainty, humans instinctively hoard resources. We pull our assets close and lock them away, assuming that physical possession is the only way to ensure they remain intact. This instinct often leads investors to hold unallocated physical cash. By removing capital from the market, they believe they have successfully eliminated their exposure to risk. This strategy relies on the concept of nominal value. This is the face value printed on a currency note, a number that remains fixed regardless of external conditions. This unchanging number creates a psychological sense of security. Because the balance on the paper never drops, the brain perceives the asset as stable. However, in a modern macroeconomic system, this perception of safety does not align with mathematical reality. Holding zero-yield cash guarantees a structural loss. It is a position that effectively ensures the erosion of the capital it aims to protect. To understand true financial risk, we have to stop measuring money by the numbers printed on the bills and start measuring it by its actual utility in the marketplace. We can map this erosion by tracking a 15-year macroeconomic cycle, beginning in the year 2010. We will use a baseline principal of exactly $10,000 for this analysis. Our control group, Kevin, chooses a strategy of absolute nominal preservation. He wants to ensure that his $10,000 never fluctuates by even a cent. To achieve this, he removes his capital from the financial system entirely, storing the physical bills in a mattress. Our treatment group, Lisa, starts with an identical $10,000, but she chooses to allocate her principal back into the market. We move forward 15 years to observe how these two distinct strategies handled the passage of time. Kevin's ledger shows a perfect nominal result. He still has exactly $10,000 in physical cash. While Kevin successfully avoided market volatility, his decision to freeze the nominal value of his money has left him vulnerable to a different kind of failure. We measure the success of an investment through purchasing power, the specific volume of goods and services a currency can actually buy. This value is dictated by the aggregate cost of consumer goods, which shifts over time. In 2010, the baseline price for a standard consumer good, like a fast food burger, was $4. Over 15 years, the price of that same burger rose to $8, effectively doubling the cost for the consumer. This trend extended to essential infrastructure. Gasoline prices also doubled during this period, increasing the cost of basic transit. When we include the rising costs of housing and rent, we see a consistent inflationary trend across every major sector of the economy. On the left, Kevin's $10,000 is a static line. Beneath it, the index for food, fuel, and rent rises until it doubles. Because living costs rose 100%, his static balance can now buy half the goods it could in 2010. This creates a paradox. By choosing a portfolio with no visible volatility, Kevin accepted a massive hidden loss in real-world utility. Inflation acted as a silent thief, removing half of the control group's wealth without ever changing the numbers on the bills. We now turn to Lisa's treatment group to see how active capital deployment changes this outcome. Lisa deployed her capital into a diversified strategy, splitting her principal between equities and bonds. This approach utilizes the compound annual growth rate. This is the engine that scales a portfolio by generating returns on previous gains. After 15 years, Lisa's original $10,000 grew to $28,000. When we place the rising cost of living beneath her growth curve, we see that her returns scaled significantly faster than the prices of burgers, gas, and rent. Lisa's strategy successfully neutralized the impact of higher prices. She could afford the doubled costs and still have a surplus. This created a surplus delta, a mathematical gap where her wealth grew faster than the inflation rate, increasing her total purchasing power. While Kevin's wealth decayed in the face of rising costs, Lisa's active yield generation allowed her to pull ahead. Comparing these two distinct sets of data allows us to precisely quantify the exact mathematical cost of inaction. Kevin incurred an opportunity cost of $18,000, the growth he walked away from by keeping his cash static. He lost value twice. He forfeited the potential growth of his principal and then watched the purchasing power of that principal drop by 50%. Small, consistent market returns provide a much stronger defense than a static balance, regardless of short-term market shifts. In a system where costs rise every year, standing still results in falling behind. We must view inflation as a silent thief that bypasses all traditional security measures. This thief is particularly dangerous because it never changes the numbers in your account, making the theft difficult to perceive. This leads to a state of structural macroeconomic decay. The data suggests that this decay is a permanent characteristic of the financial environment, rather than a temporary fluctuation. It is time to move past the idea that risk is only found in market volatility. The greatest financial risk is storing the value of your labor in an asset that is effectively programmed to lose its utility over time. Our 15-year comparison illustrates a core principle of capital management. A 0% yield leads directly to structural shrinkage. Capital is similar to a living organism. It must actively grow to avoid decline. To preserve the value of your money, you must force it to grow faster than the rate of rising costs. A positive yield remains the only mathematical defense against the constant erosion of purchasing power. Active investment is the mandatory price of financial survival.